To sound more fluent and advanced, you need a wide range of vocabulary. Today, you'll learn over 200 advanced words you can add to your vocabulary. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, let's learn some phrases you can use when talking about sleep. This is the first thing I say in the morning. I turn to my husband and I say, "How did you sleep last night? How did you sleep last night?" This is a very common morning greeting. Simply, you can say, "Did you sleep well?" And they'll answer yes or no, but this is what natives say. "How did you sleep last night?" I also say this every day. "I was in a super deep sleep when the alarm went off." So a deep sleep is a very restful sleep. It implies that it's hard to wake up from. And super deep sleep, this is a casual intensifier. Natives love using it. It's the same as saying extremely. I was in an extremely deep sleep, a super deep sleep. And notice that when the alarm went off, this means when the alarm started ringing, so to go off. Don't worry about taking these notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. And many mornings I say I was having the craziest dream when the alarm went off. So here, craziest, this could mean very strange, but it could also just mean very intense, very intense. And to provide information on how you slept, how did you sleep last night, you can say, "I slept like a baby."
I slept like a baby.
This means I slept very well, extremely well, super well. You could also say, "I slept like a rock." Like a baby, like a rock, they're very common. And this means not moving at all during sleep. And also when replying to, "How did you sleep last night?" you can say, "I was out like a light." This means I fell asleep instantly, just like turning off a light. I was out like a light. Or sometimes you might say, "I barely slept last night."
I barely slept last night.
So barely means almost not at all. It's like saying I got very little sleep. You could say I had a terrible sleep. So adjective sleep. I had a terrible sleep last night. It's very common to use this phrase, "I tossed and turned." Notice that pronunciation. I tossed and turned. I tossed and turned until 2 a.m. And to toss and turn, this means you couldn't fall asleep because you kept moving in bed. I tossed and turned. To be dramatic, you can say, "Let's just say I'm running on caffeine today." This means I'm very tired and only awake because of caffeine, which of course is what you get when you drink coffee. Here's a phrase you can say to someone else, maybe your husband, your roommate, your parents, your friends. "Someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed." This means someone's in a bad mood this morning, or it can mean someone's grumpy this morning. Or on the opposite end, you could say, "Morning, sleepyhead." Morning, sleepyhead. So that's a common greeting. It's friendly, it's playful, but we use it to greet someone who looks or acts sleepy in the morning. So if someone looks extremely tired, you can call them sleepyhead and say, "Morning, sleepyhead. How did you sleep last night?" Let's move on to laundry day. Maybe you don't do your own laundry, but it's something that is commonly discussed. Someone might say, "I'm doing laundry after breakfast. Do you have anything to throw in?" So notice two things. First, you do laundry. That's the collocation. That's the verb you conjugate, to do laundry. And of course, that means wash and dry dirty clothes. Now, do you have anything to throw in? This means, do you have any clothing to add to the pile of dirty laundry? Now, here's something I used to say, but then I got in trouble. I never separate my whites and colors. But then people would get mad at me. Well, usually my husband.
So I separated all the colors and whites.
So I had to change this. So to separate means you have one pile of whites, one pile of colors. Now notice my adverb of frequency, never. But you can change that to any adverb of frequency. I always, I usually, I sometimes, rarely, never. And remember, if you use she or he, you need to add that S. She never separates, or she always separates. How about this one? Do you think this can go into the dryer? And then you're either holding up a shirt or pointing at a shirt or item of clothing. Now this is used to ask, is it safe to dry this shirt, this pair of pants, using a drying machine? Now, natives call the washing machine the washer. And we call the drying machine the dryer. Here's a common laundry phrase. The laundry's still a little damp. It needs a few more minutes.
Everything's still a little damp in here.
What does this mean? A little damp. A little damp. To be damp, this means slightly wet. You can use this in other contexts. My hair is still damp, slightly wet, because my hair dryer is broken. Or I could say, don't come into the kitchen. I just washed the floors and they're still damp. They're still a little wet. Hopefully you don't say, oh no, I shrank my favorite sweater. I shrank my favorite sweater. Shrank means become smaller in size. And the verb conjugations are shrink, shrank in the past simple, and shrunk in the participle form. So you could say, my new sweater is ruined because it shrank in the wash. You can say, this shirt's a little wrinkled, a little wrinkled. Do you want me to iron it? So wrinkled, to be wrinkled, it means it has creases or lines in the shirt. And to iron, this is to use a heated device to smooth clothes. But let's review this sentence. Do you think this cream will help smooth the wrinkles under my eyes? So wrinkles also describes the lines or creases on your body. You could turn to your partner or roommate and ask, can you help me fold? So fold means to organize clothes into neat shapes. And this is obvious. Can you help me fold the laundry, which would be the clean clothes, or can you help me fold the clothes? But in this context, you don't need it because it's obvious. Or you can be more direct and just assign the task and say, I'll fold and you put away. So put away means store in drawers or closets, wherever you keep the clean clothes. And notice the structure. I'll fold. That's the future simple. You put away. That's the present form. This is casual speech, but it's used with the subject you. So when I assign myself a task and you a task. Natives use this structure a lot, but just know that future simple plus future simple is standard grammar for all subjects. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Let's move on to watching a series. What series are you watching right now? Maybe you can say, that show is so bingeable. Bingeable. Repeat after me. Bingeable. Bingeable.
It is totally amateur, but it's addictively bingeable.
This means so interesting, you want to watch many episodes in a row. You can also use this as a verb. I'm binge watching that show because it's so bingeable. So the verb is to binge watch, and this means to watch many or all episodes in succession. So in a row, one after another. You could say the special effects are next level. Next level means amazing or impressive. Or there are so many plot twists and cliffhangers. 2 essential nouns to describe series. A plot twist. This is an unexpected change in the story. It can also describe books as well. A cliffhanger. This is a suspenseful ending that makes you want to watch more. Oh no, it's the end of the episode. What happens? What happens next? That's a cliffhanger. Or you could say, I was on the edge of my seat last night. If you're on the edge of your seat, it means you're literally moving your body towards the TV because you want to get closer.
I was on the edge of my seat.
This means the show was so exciting that you were either negative emotion, you were nervous about what might happen, or a positive emotion, you were thrilled or entertained. You could say, I'm rewatching it for the 3rd time. Rewatching means watching again. And notice that structure, the, ordinal number, 3rd, and then time, no S, the 3rd time. You could also say, I've rewatched it 3 times, to use a non-ordinal number and to add that S because it's more than 1. Let's review some phrases when trying something new. Maybe you're trying mountain climbing or scuba diving or yoga or any activity. You could say, I wish I had taken this up years ago. So to take up means to start a new hobby or activity, but as part of your routine. So it sounds like you're going to do it routinely, weekly or monthly. And the conjugations are take, took, taken. Now notice that structure, I wish plus past perfect. I wish I had taken this up. Now this structure is used to talk about regrets about the past, but they're impossible to change now, which is why it's the past perfect. You could say, honestly, it's easier than you think.
It's easier than you think, Chief.
And then it being the activity. Honestly, yoga is easier than you'd think. This is used to encourage someone when they think something like rock climbing or baking cookies is difficult. And notice, you'd. This is you would, you'd think. So I could say to you, honestly, learning phrasal verbs is easier than you'd think. You just need a great teacher. Do you agree with that? If you do, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now, right before you try that new activity, right before you climb the mountain or put the cookies in the oven, you can say, okay, here goes nothing.
Okay, here goes nothing.
This is said when trying something with uncertainty or nervous. You don't know if you'll enjoy it. You don't know if the cookies will be good or not. Here goes nothing. It's like saying, I don't know if I'll succeed or fail, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now, if you fail, you might say to your friend, remind me to never do that again. Remind me to never do that again. This is a somewhat humorous phrase, and it's used after a bad experience. You hurt your arm rock climbing, or the cookies tasted terrible. And notice this is in the imperative, remind me. To encourage you, I can say, you should give it a shot. To give something a shot means try. So I could say you should give diving a shot. You should give yoga a shot. Now let's review some phrases you can use when you lose something. You can be looking in different rooms and then say, I swear I put my passport in this drawer. I swear means I'm very sure. You could also say I'm positive, I'm confident, or I know I put my passport in this drawer. And notice that conjugation is irregular, is put for all conjugations. Or after you've been looking for a few minutes or hours, you can say, I can't find my wallet anywhere.
I can't find my keys or wallet anywhere.
Anywhere emphasizes the inability to locate the wallet. You could say, I've looked everywhere and I can't find it, my wallet, anywhere. I personally lose my sunglasses a lot. And as I'm looking for them, I say, my sunglasses have got to be here somewhere. So this is the same as saying, my sunglasses must be here somewhere, have got to be here. Or you can ask someone, have you seen my, and then the lost item. Have you seen my AirPods? And this is in the present perfect because it's a past action. Yeah, I saw your AirPods this morning. And then there's a result in the present. Well, where are they? Tell me where they are so they won't be lost anymore. And as you're looking and you can't find your item, you can say, seriously, this is driving me crazy.
This is driving me crazy.
So driving me crazy means making me very frustrated. So you want to say this with some frustration. You can use this in any context. Seriously, the traffic is driving me crazy. This computer bug is driving me crazy. My kids are driving me crazy. Here are some phrases you can use when packing for a trip. You might say, I'm a last-minute packer.
I'm always doing everything last minute.
Last minute means completed at the latest possible time, maybe just minutes before you need to go to the airport or the train station. And notice here, I'm a packer. Packer, this is a noun. It's a person who packs. And then last minute is the adjective to describe the person who packs, the packer. Alternatively, you can say, I always pack at the last minute. It's the same thing, just different sentence structure. Or, I'm worried I underpacked. Underpacked means you didn't pack enough. I'm worried I overpacked. I packed too much. Or you can ask your travel buddy, do you have room for my jacket? My bag is already stuffed. So have room, this means do you have space? And stuffed means completely full, can't fit anything more. Or after, you can celebrate and say, I'm done packing. I just need to double check my packing list. Is this something you do?
I just wanted to double check that.
To double check means to check for the second time. Notice that sentence structure, the ordinal number, time with no plural. Here are some phrases you can use when taking care of pets. You can say, I always take Daisy, the name of your dog or pet. I always take Daisy for a walk after work. Now, this is one common structure. You could also say, I always walk Daisy. I always walk Daisy, or I always walk my dog after work. Or you could say, I always take Daisy to the park after work. Maybe you need to say this. She won't stop barking at the delivery guy.
He won't stop barking.
Or he or my dog won't stop barking. So barking, of course, that's the sound dogs make. And notice here, stop plus gerund. But you can use stop plus infinitive. Do you know the difference? I stopped to give Daisy a treat. I stopped doing something. I stopped working to start an action, to give Daisy a treat. Maybe someone asks you, do you feed her or do you feed him? Do you feed your dog, your cat, your turtle, both wet and dry food? These are the categories of food in North America. Wet food is canned food. Dry food, that is kibble. If you're familiar with that word, it's another term for the food. Oh, we're out of kibble. I have to get some more kibble. It's dry food for a pet. Or commonly with pets, she hates getting her nails cut. So my dog hates getting, because she's receiving the action. Of course, she's not doing the action. She's receiving the action. Her nails, because dogs have nails as well, cut. Now, cut means trimmed. You can use either one. She hates getting her nails cut or trimmed. Now, if the dog is being shy or the cat is being shy, you can say she'll warm up to you if you give her some treats.
She'll warm up after a couple nights with you.
So to warm up to someone, this can be used with people and kids especially. She'll begin to like you or she'll begin to be friendly towards you if you give her some treats. Amazing job. You just learned 50 full phrases. Let's keep going and you'll learn 15 great phrases you can use in daily conversations. Number 1, easier said than done. Do you know this phrase? Native speakers, including myself, love using this. Easier said than done. This is used to say that something is more difficult to do than it sounds. So we commonly use this as a reply when someone gives you advice or a solution that sounds simple when they say it, but it's actually hard to carry out, which means it's hard to do. So let's say your friend wants to give you some advice and says, just tell your boss you don't want to work weekends. Well, that is easy to open your mouth and say, I don't want to work weekends, but the consequences of that might be more severe. So you can reply back to your friend and say, easier said than done. Now you can add on that's easier said than done, or you can even start with the action in the gerund. Talking to my boss is easier said than done. Now, when you say this, your friend will probably agree and say, yeah, I get that, which means I understand, or you're right, or even I see where you're coming from, which is another way of saying I understand your perspective or your opinion. So maybe your friend knows you want to practice your English speaking skills, so your friend says to you, just start conversations with native speakers. And what can you reply back with? Easier said than done. Or maybe you can use this different phrase and say starting conversations with natives is becoming easier with every lesson I watch. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's right, put that's right in the comments.
Nothing. Okay, so this one, way easier said than done. But as much as you can practice it, you will see it works like magic.
Now, doing this is easier said than done. It's very hard to know, by the way, what it is you take for granted. And the reason is that you take it for granted.
This is easier said than done. But this is the job of the food movement.
Number 2, it's been one of those days. Ooh, do you know what this means? This is used as a full phrase to describe a day full of small problems, frustrations, or stress. So if your friend asks you, how's it going? Or how was your day? You can reply back usually with some tone and facial expression and say, oh, it's been one of those days. Or you might use this as a reason why you're behaving more negatively than normal. You can say, sorry, I'm grumpy. Grumpy means you're a little irritated, angry, annoyed. Sorry, I'm grumpy. It's been one of those days. So that's the reason why. Now you can also use this phrase and then explain the reasons why. It's been one of those days. I missed the train. I was 20 minutes late for an important meeting. I spilled coffee on my shirt, and the vending machine ate my money, which means the vending machine took your money but did not give you the candy bar you so desperately wanted. Now keep in mind, this phrase is used with small problems, frustrations, or stress.
It's been one of those days and I'm angry.
It's been just one of those days.
But it's one of those days where I've just been, really taking it easy. And
Number 3, I love this one. You read my mind. Do you know this one? This means that you said or did exactly what I was thinking. So maybe you say, hey, Jennifer, let's stay in, which means stay at home. Let's stay in and watch a movie tonight. Now I can reply back and say, you read my mind. So this means that I was just about to suggest that we stay in and watch a movie tonight. Now, to acknowledge that you and your friend had the exact same idea, one of you can add on a bonus phrase, great minds think alike. Notice this phrase, you read my mind. This uses the verb to read, but is conjugated in the past simple. So of course that pronunciation is the same as read. You read my mind. So the mind is also possessive to whoever is speaking.
Yeah, you read my mind. I got into trouble.
Oh my God, you read my mind.
Right?
Yeah, you read my mind. I was about to go into that after we cover this. I'll be right there.
Number 4, you need this phrase in your vocabulary. I'm running a bit late. Now, to say I'm running late means I'm going to be late. I'm running a little late, or you can use a bit late. They have the same meaning. This is very commonly used to send a quick text message. Sorry, running late, be there in 10. Now, in text messages, we omit words that are not needed, but in the full form, you would say, sorry, I'm running late. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And notice that to run late, this is most commonly used in the present continuous. I'm running late because it's taking place now.
I'm actually running a little bit late for tea with the Queen.
I'm running a little bit late.
Number 5, it slipped my mind. This is one you'll probably use every day. It means I forgot. Now it means I forgot something or to do something. This is generally used to admit you forgot something or to do something, so it's to take responsibility. It's generally used with minor responsibilities or events. For example, your friend might ask you, did you make the reservation? Notice that collocation, you make a reservation, let's say for dinner at a restaurant. And you can reply back and say, oh, sorry, it slipped my mind, which means I forgot to make the reservation. And then you can reply back and say, I'll do it now, or I'll make the reservation now. I had another example I wanted to share with you, but it completely slipped my mind. And notice I use completely to emphasize this statement. Now I could add on, I'm sure the example will come back to me. So the information will return to my mind.
There was one more thing I wanted to ask you about that, but it slipped my mind. Give me 1 second.
I had one other, and it just slipped my mind.
So sorry, it just slipped my mind with all the moving, all that stuff.
Number 6, it's not the end of the world. Do you know this one? This is a great one to have. It means it's not as bad or significant as it seems. So I could say to you, making grammar mistakes while speaking is not the end of the world. It's not as significant as it may seem. Or I could say, I'm so sorry, I forgot to make the reservation yesterday. It completely slipped my mind. Now my friend could try to make me feel better by saying, it's not the end of the world, which is like saying, it's not a big deal, or that's okay, or no worries.
It's not the end of the world for the bond market by any means, but the market reaction to the Fed statement in the chairman's discussion was really quite something.
It's not the end of the world if you missed the soccer game.
If it's not absolutely perfect, it's not the end of the world because we're referencing from the same phase every time.
Number 7, thanks for the heads up. Do you know what a heads up is? This is a warning or advanced notice. Now, this is used when someone gives you useful information ahead of time, so in advance. You can also say just a heads up that we're closing early tomorrow for a private event. So maybe the cafe you normally go to says this to you. Now you can reply and say thanks for the heads up. The because it's a specific heads up. Or you could say I appreciate the heads up. It's like saying thanks for letting me know. So your coworker might say to you, just a heads up that the boss is in a bad mood today. This is an example that one of my students gave during a live lesson, and I loved it so much, I'm sharing it here with you. Now you can reply back and say, thanks for the heads up. thanks for the information because now I know I need to behave differently around my boss because she's in a bad mood.
Thanks for the heads up.
Thanks for the heads up of what content to expect.
Thanks for the heads up on the upcoming policies. We'll look forward to seeing how U.S. aid is innovating.
Number 8, don't quote me on that. This is another example that one of my amazing students used, and I loved it so much, I'm sharing it with everyone. This means I'm not 100% sure, so don't repeat what I just said as fact. So this is used when giving information that you're not sure is 100% correct. For example, I think the client is coming at 3:30, but don't quote me on that. It's like saying, I may be wrong. Or you could say, he might be working from home today, but don't quote me on that. Again, I could be wrong. Notice this is always used in the negative.
I think it's like $1.4 billion. Don't quote me on that.
Don't quote me on that, but I imagine if you Google it, you might find something that would approximate that.
Number 9, just to be on the safe side. Do you know this one? This goes with the last one very well. It means to be extra careful or cautious. So this is generally used when taking a precautionary action. For example, I think the client is coming at 3:30, but ask Mark just to be on the safe side. So just as a precaution. With small everyday things, someone might say, take an umbrella just to be on the safe side. As a precaution, you can start with the phrase, just to be on the safe side, take an umbrella. So notice the phrase can go before or after the statement.
Just to be on the safe side, members of the current administration might want to brush up on their job skills, just in case.
Do I go lower than the norm just to be on the safe side?
Just to be on the safe side, I decided not to remarry and not to have children. So much for that problem.
Number 10, let me get back to you on that. This means I'll reply later after I verify the information. So this is used to delay your answer until you have more information. So it's a great phrase to have. So if someone asks you, when's the client coming? You can say, I think at 3:30. I think the client's coming at 3:30, but let me get back to you on that just to be on the safe side. So you will verify the information and then let the person know. Now, this is commonly used with social invitations. A friend could ask you, are you free on Saturday? And you don't know what your plans are yet. So you can say to your friend, let me get back to you tomorrow. This is like saying, I'll let you know tomorrow. So to get back to someone means to respond. So if your friend asks you, is Sarah coming to the party? You can say, I don't know. She hasn't gotten back to me yet. She hasn't replied yet.
Yeah, and let me get back to you on that. I will follow up with you. So,
let me get back to you on that. What's your next one? Well, let me get back to you on that. Thank you.
Number 11, let me sleep on that. This means I need more time to think about this decision. So for example, your friend could ask you, are you going to tell your boss what the client said? And then you can reply back and say, I haven't decided. I need to sleep on it. So this is saying I need some time, 24 hours perhaps, to think, reflect, analyze, weigh the pros and cons. This can also be used as advice. Your friend could say, I know you're upset, but before you quit, I suggest you sleep on it. You take the night to really consider this decision.
And you can't decide how to interpret it. And so you say, let me sleep on it.
Let me sleep on it. Let me think if I really want to be bitten by this creature.
Let me just sleep on it.
Number 12, I'm on the fence about it. Do you know what this means? This means I haven't made a decision yet, or simply, I'm undecided. So this is used when you're unsure between two or more options. For example, are you going to your ex's wedding? I'm on the fence about it. You haven't decided. Or you could say, I'm on the fence about quitting my job. So about is a preposition. If you use a verb, it's in the gerund. Now, if you say, I'm on the fence about quitting my job, maybe your friend would say, you should sleep on it, or take more time to decide, just to be on the safe side.
Sort of on the fence about is the road it takes between comedy and drama, back and forth and back and forth.
But I'm still on the fence about it. So I'm trying to make it as transparent as possible.
That's why I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm going to go with yes, yeah.
Number 13, don't jump to conclusions. This is an important phrase. It means don't judge a situation too quickly or without enough information. So it's used to slow someone down when they're making a quick judgment. So if your friend says, Sarah hasn't gotten back to me yet, remember, Sarah hasn't replied to me yet, she must be mad at me. That's what your friend thinks. Now you can reply back and say, don't jump to conclusion. It's only been one day. She's probably just busy. So don't judge the situation too quickly. Or commonly, my boss asked to see me this afternoon. He's going to fire me. I know it. Does that ever run through your mind? Now, hopefully your coworker says to you, don't jump to conclusions.
So basically, don't jump to conclusions with only a little data.
A Hindu group in India, I'll tell you the name, but don't jump to conclusions. It's not the group you're thinking of.
Don't jump to conclusions or doubt what they're saying or give instant answers or quote Christian cliches.
Number 14, that's a tough call. This is used to say that's a difficult decision to make. So a call is a decision, and tough and difficult are the same thing. So this is used when two options are close in benefits or risk. So for example, the forecast says there's a 45% chance of rain tomorrow. Should we keep the event outside or move it inside? And your friend can reply back and say, that's a tough call. Now maybe they would add on and say, personally, I'd move it inside just to be on the safe side. Or your friend could say, should I accept the job in Chicago or Manhattan? I'm on the fence. I'm undecided. Now your friend can say, that's a tough call. Both are amazing opportunities. You should sleep on it.
Well, I was just going to say that's a tough call, but that's how I would make it.
That's a tough call. And eventually the system's going to fall apart.
It's a very tough call to make.
Number 15, I'll take care of it. This is used to say, I'll handle this task or situation. So this is used when you volunteer for a responsibility. So if you're in a meeting and the boss says, does anyone have time to drop off the package? And there are 5 people in the room. You can say, I'll take care of it. You can also say, I can take care of it. I can take care of dropping off the package. So notice if you specify the verb, it's in the ing form. Or at home, maybe your wife or sister or mother says, I'll make dinner when I get home. Now you say to that person, oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care of dinner. So here, notice it's a noun. You've had a long day. Let me take care of it. So let me accept the responsibility for that. You're doing great. Now let's focus on individual words. You'll learn 21 advanced English words that will impress everyone. Number 1, dazzling. Dazzling. That's a fun word to say. Repeat after me. Dazzling. This is an adjective that means brilliant and impressive, leaving a lasting impression. I could say, you look absolutely dazzling in that outfit. And notice how I added absolutely to make it even stronger. Or I could say, she started her presentation with a dazzling smile. So what do you think of my smile? Is it dazzling? If it is, then put dazzling in the comments, because putting it in the comments will help you remember it. Put dazzling in the comments. Number 2, caveat. Repeat after me, caveat. This is a noun and it's a warning or cautionary statement. These words will impress native speakers, but there's one caveat. There's one warning. You need to pronounce them correctly. So repeat after me, caveat. Or you could say he agreed to be interviewed with the caveat that he could review the article. Number 3, alleviate. Repeat after me, alleviate. This is a verb that means to make something negative, like a pain or a problem, less severe. For example, taking a walk can alleviate stress. It can make it less severe. Or practicing your speech beforehand, maybe for a job interview or a presentation, can alleviate your public speaking anxiety. It can make it less severe. So make sure you practice. Number 4, a fun one to say, conundrum. Repeat after me, conundrum. Conundrum. This is a noun and it's a confusing and difficult problem or question. He faced a conundrum. So notice that verb is face. You face a conundrum. He faced a conundrum about which job offer to accept. So maybe he has this job offer, but then he calls you as his friend and he says, it's my dream job, but if I accept it, I'll have to move overseas away from my family. And then you can reply back and say, well, that's a conundrum. That's a difficult problem you're facing. Number 5, frivolous. Also fun to say, frivolous. Repeat after me, frivolous. This is an adjective that means not having any serious purpose or value. We commonly use this with money. He spends all his money on frivolous items, on items that have no purpose or value. Or you could say they argued over something frivolous, something meaningless, no purpose, no value. Hopefully you're thinking this lesson isn't frivolous, which means it does have purpose and it does provide you value. So this lesson isn't frivolous. Would you agree? Put that's right in the comments. Number 6, perplex. Repeat after me, perplex. This is a verb that means to confuse and worry someone by being difficult to understand or solve. For example, the patient's symptoms perplexed the doctors. The doctors found the symptoms difficult to understand and then solve, so it caused some worry or confusion. Or you could say, I was perplexed by these words, the words in this lesson. Notice that passive structure. I was perplexed by these words, but Jennifer helped me understand them. Hopefully you agree with that. Number 7, nostalgia. Repeat after me, nostalgia. This is a noun and it's a feeling of pleasure, but also slight sadness when you think about things that happened in the past. Some people feel nostalgia because nostalgia is a noun, so you can feel nostalgia. Some people feel nostalgia for their school days. So thinking about their school days in the past, it brings them pleasure, but a little bit of sadness. Can you relate to that? Or you could say, hearing that song again filled him with nostalgia. You can be filled with this noun, nostalgia. Number 8, ooh, this is a good one, ominous. Repeat after me, ominous. This is an adjective and it means giving the impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen. We commonly use this with the weather. You could look up and say, the dark clouds are ominous. So what's the bad thing that's going to happen? A severe storm. Or you could say he had an ominous feeling about the meeting. Something bad is going to happen. Maybe the client won't sign the contract, or he won't get the answer he wanted. Number 9, acquiesce. Repeat after me. Acquiesce. Acquiesce. This is a verb, and it means to agree passively. So to agree, but you don't really want to. You don't want to initially, but you eventually say, okay, I acquiesce. For example, I wanted to go to Hawaii, but my husband wanted to go to Iceland. I acquiesced. So my question for you, my smart student, is, where did I go on vacation? Did I go to Hawaii or Iceland? Put your answer in the comments, Hawaii or Iceland. Put it in the comments. Number 10, consensus. Repeat after me, consensus. This is a noun and it means general agreement among a group. Remember, to have general agreement, you don't need 100%. You need 50, 51, 55. That would be the minimum amount for a general consensus. For example, we couldn't reach a consensus. So the verb you use is to reach a consensus. We couldn't reach a consensus on where to go for vacation, Hawaii or Iceland. We couldn't reach a consensus. Or you could say there is a consensus that the proposal needs revisions. So this means that the majority of people agree that the proposal needs revisions. Number 11, itinerary. I'm always surprised when my students, even my advanced students, don't know this word because it's so commonly used. Repeat after me, itinerary. This is a noun and it's a detailed plan or route for an event or vacation. For example, have you planned your itinerary for Iceland? Because remember, I acquiesced, so I agreed with my husband who wanted to go to Iceland, even though I wanted to go to Hawaii. Did you understand that? Did you get that? So have you planned your itinerary for Iceland yet? So the itinerary would tell you what activities you're doing on each day of that trip. Or you could say, we have a very busy itinerary, all the things you have planned. Now, don't confuse this with the next word, number 12, agenda. Repeat after me, agenda. Most students know this, but don't confuse it with an itinerary because an agenda is a list of items to be discussed at a meeting. So you can ask, what's the agenda for the meeting? Or what's the first item on the agenda? Or in emails, it's very common to send or receive an email that says, please find attached the agenda for today's conference call. Number 13, lucrative. Lucrative. Repeat after me, lucrative. This is an adjective and it means producing a great deal of profit or financial success. We use this specifically with money. You could say photography isn't lucrative. It doesn't produce a great deal of financial success, but it's my passion. Or you could say there was a general consensus, most people agree, there was a general consensus that the partnership would be lucrative, would result in money, financial success. So that's a great one to have in your vocabulary. Number 14, contingency. Do you know this one? Contingency. Repeat after me, contingency. This is a noun and it's a future event or circumstance which is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. So it's possible, but not guaranteed. Here's how this word is most commonly used. We need a contingency plan in case of an emergency. So this is a plan about a potential circumstance that's possible but not guaranteed. And the plan, the contingency plan, will tell you what to do in the event of an emergency. Or you could say, we must prepare for all possible contingencies. Number 15, tangible. Repeat after me, tangible. This is a noun, and it means real, something you can touch, show, or even experience. For example, the project resulted in tangible benefits. I can show you the benefits on a chart. You can touch the benefits, such as money, or you have an experience such as doing something because of those benefits. It's tangible. Or you might say, we need tangible evidence to support our claims. You need evidence that people can touch, see, or experience. It must be tangible. This is commonly used with assets because there are tangible assets such as machinery and buildings. You can touch them, you can look at them, they're real. Number 16, incentive. Repeat after me, incentive. This is a noun, and it's a thing that motivates or encourages someone to do something. So for example, I need to give you and all of my students an incentive to subscribe. I need to encourage you to subscribe by providing something of value. So the fact that I upload videos every single day is your incentive to subscribe. So make sure you subscribe, like this video, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. I have other incentives for you once you subscribe. Number 17, metrics. Repeat after me, metrics. Metrics. This is a noun and it's a standard of measurement. For example, the size of your vocabulary is one of the metrics of fluency. The number of words you know, which is why I'm teaching you 21 words so you can improve this metric, this measure of performance for your fluency. As you know, on your IELTS or other language exams, they judge you on different areas. Those are the different metrics. Or if you want to improve your fluency, a good question to ask is, what are the key metrics of fluency? And that will tell you what areas to focus on. Number 18, redundant. Repeat after me, redundant. Redundant. This is a noun and it means not or no longer needed or useful. For example, some tasks have become redundant due to automation, AI, ChatGPT. Or you could say typewriters are now redundant. They're no longer used, although they were once the only device that people had to write with. So can you think of something in today's modern world that is now redundant? My example was a typewriter. Share your own example in the comments below, just for fun. Number 19, streamline. Streamline. Repeat after me, streamline. This is a verb and it means to make something faster, easier, or better. For example, online learning has streamlined education. It's made it faster, easier, better. Would you agree with that? Or you might ask in a meeting, how can we streamline our operations? How can we make our operations faster, better, easier? Number 20, glaring. Repeat after me, glaring. This is an adjective and it's when something bad is extremely obvious. It's glaring. For example, we can't hire her. She made glaring spelling mistakes in her CV. So when you look at the CV, the spelling mistakes are extremely obvious. They're glaring. So that CV is going in the garbage. Or you could say there was a glaring contradiction in his statement. The contradiction was extremely obvious. Now, do you know what a contradiction is? This is word 21, contradiction. Repeat after me, contradiction. And this is a combination of words that is nonsense because some of the words suggest the opposite of some of the others. That's a confusing definition, but listen to this simple example. She's an honest politician. Now, some people might reply back and say, an honest politician? Isn't that a contradiction? Because when you hear the word honest, an image of a politician is not what most people think of. So some people might say that the combination of words, an honest politician, is a contradiction. Here's an everyday example. You said you hate the heat, but you want to go to Hawaii. Isn't that a contradiction? Because Hawaii is very hot, but you just said you hate the heat. So that's a contradiction. Wow, think of everything you've learned, and now let's keep going with individual words, and you'll learn 20 advanced English words to sound more fluent instantly. Our first word, quandary. Listen to that pronunciation, quandary, quandary. This is a difficult situation or dilemma. For example, I'm in a quandary about whether to take the new job or stay where I am. So that's the difficult situation, the dilemma, the quandary. Now, quandary is a noun, so you still need the rest of the sentence structure. To be in a quandary is one option. You could also say Sarah found herself in a quandary. So to find oneself in a, because it's a noun, a quandary, when both her friends asked her to help at the same time. Which friend do I help? That's the dilemma.
Yes, this is a quandary.
The manager's quandary was whether to invest in new equipment or hire more staff. Or maybe you might say, I was in a quandary in the past simple. I was in a quandary about how to improve my English until I found JForrest English. Hopefully you're saying that. So put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Let's review ruckus. Notice that pronunciation? Ruckus. The N sound is unstressed. Ruckus. Ruckus. This is a noisy commotion or disturbance. The kids caused quite a ruckus. So again, you need a verb, to cause a ruckus, and then quite a ruckus intensifies it. The kids caused quite a ruckus when they found out the pool was closed. So they started screaming, yelling, making noise, a ruckus.
This is quite a ruckus.
Or there was a ruckus, to be a ruckus. There was a ruckus in the hallway after someone pulled the fire alarm. You can imagine all the noise, all the commotion, a ruckus. Or you can say to your kids, your friends, your coworkers, stop making such a ruckus. People are trying to work here. Let's review whim. Whim. This is one I use a lot. It's a sudden and impulsive decision. Let's review that sentence structure. On a whim. On a whim. We decided to drive to the beach for the day.
I buy you flowers on a whim.
So we didn't plan it. It was impulsive. She bought the dress on a whim. She didn't really think about how much it was or when she would wear it. She just bought it on a whim, even though she didn't really need it. His sudden trip to Europe was just another one of his whims. Now, whim is a noun. One of his, you need a plural. One of his whims. Let's review glitch. Glitch. Do you know this one? it's a minor error or malfunction. You've probably experienced this maybe today. There's a glitch. There is a glitch, a minor error or malfunction in the software that's causing the program to crash.
Yeah, there's a glitch.
Or everything was running smoothly until we hit a minor glitch in the system. So if you hit a glitch, it means you encounter it and it's sudden and unexpected. Or you might say the flight was delayed due to a technical glitch. So a glitch and then technical is the adjective. What type of glitch? An error related to technology, a technical glitch with the plane. Let's review stroll, another one that's part of my daily speech, but it's more advanced, of simply saying a leisurely walk. Stroll is the word choice. We took a nice stroll. So notice you can take a stroll and then nice describes what type of stroll. We took a nice stroll through the park after dinner. Or she likes to go for a stroll. You can go for a stroll around the neighborhood to clear her mind.
Let's go for a stroll.
Or review this one. She likes to stroll around the neighborhood to clear her mind. What's the difference? Well, in this sentence, she likes to stroll. Stroll is a verb and it's in the infinitive. So you can use it as a noun or a verb. Now, speaking of verbs, let's move on to scrutinize. Scrutinize. Native speakers will often drop that T and form a flap T, and it will sound like scrutinize. So you may hear that, scrutinize, or more enunciated, scrutinize. This means to examine something closely and carefully. The accountant scrutinized the financial reports for any errors. So it sounds stronger than simply saying reviewed. Or someone might say to you, you need to scrutinize the contract carefully before signing it. Again, stronger than saying review, and it instantly sounds more advanced. In the negative, you might say, my boss scrutinizes my every move. My every move means everything I do.
What are we supposed to do? Scrutinize every little thing?
And notice this is in the present simple. My boss scrutinizes. So it shows that it's a routine action. Let's move on to dwindle. Dwindle. This means to gradually decrease or diminish. It sounds more advanced. The crowd began to dwindle as the concert came to an end. Or her savings dwindled after she lost her job. So they started going down and they kept going down gradually. Or you can say interest in the project is dwindling. Notice this is in the present continuous. This is a verb, so you need to conjugate it. And our subject is interest. Interest is dwindling.
An interest in the tour has dwindled nearly to nothing.
Let's review nudge. This is a great verb. It means to physically push or encourage someone or something, but you do it gently. And that's why I just went like this, because that would be a nudge. She nudged him to remind him it was his turn to speak.
Let's nudge some people.
So if someone is sitting beside me and I go like this, that would be me nudging the person. And it's for a specific purpose. It acts as a reminder. Or remember, you can use this with something. He nudged the door open just enough to peek inside. Whenever I'm in public, I don't open doors with my hands because of germs. I try to nudge the door with this part of my body. Now remember, you can use this to mean encourage. I needed someone to nudge me into making the decision I'd been avoiding. So to encourage me. So it can be physical or just words of encouragement. Let's review scoff. Scoff. This means to mock or show contempt. For example, he scoffed at the idea of working overtime on the weekend. So he showed contempt, that he wasn't happy for it. So you can scoff at something, at the idea. Now you can certainly say this word in your speech to explain how someone reacted. I shared my idea and he scoffed at me, or he scoffed at it, the idea. But this is often just a sound effect that someone makes in reaction to something. So if I say to my students, I'm quitting YouTube, you might say, ugh, and make a sound effect. Rather than just using the word scoff, you can show it by making a sound effect or a reaction. Ugh. I'm sure the same concept exists in your native language as well. Let's review some more examples where you would say it verbally. My father scoffed when I shared my idea to start my own business. So that is how he reacted. Or she scoffed when I told her I was thinking about running a marathon. It shows how she reacted in a negative way. Let's review dodge. This means to avoid something. Now it can be physical. You can physically move your body to avoid a ball hitting you, but it can be figurative as well. For example, he managed to dodge the question by changing the subject. So it's not that he moved his body to avoid the question. He avoided it, he dodged it by changing the subject. It's a good strategy. Or physically, she quickly dodged out of the way to avoid being hit by the ball. Dodge this. Or someone might say to you, you can't keep dodging responsibility. So here it's in the ing form because of keep. You can't keep dodging responsibility, avoiding. You need to address the problem. Let's review some advanced adverbs. Implicitly. Implicitly. This is in a way that is understood without being directly stated. For example, I implicitly trust her to make the right decision. I trust her even though there isn't some formal agreement of trust. It's just implicit.
Officers, I trust him implicitly.
The instructions implicitly suggested. So remember, as an adverb is going to modify a verb, in this case, suggested, but without directly saying. The instructions implicitly suggested that we should wait for further notice. Or by signing the contract, you implicitly agree to the terms and conditions. Let's review zealously. Zealously. This means with great passion or enthusiasm.
Zealously represent your client?
She zealously promoted the new product to every customer who walked in. Again, the verb that's being modified is promoted. He worked zealously to finish the project ahead of schedule. Or the volunteers zealously organized the charity event, ensuring every detail was perfect. So this is a great adverb to show your passion and enthusiasm. Let's review lavishly. Lavishly. This means in an extravagant or excessive manner. They decorated the venue lavishly. So how did they decorate the venue? There's your adverb. Lavishly for the wedding. The company spent lavishly on its annual holiday party.
Oh, quite the lavish employers, aren't you?
She praised her team lavishly for their hard work and dedication. So this can be positive or negative depending on the context. Let's review briskly. This is a more advanced way of saying in a quick and energetic manner. She walked briskly to catch the bus before it left.
Because I walked here very briskly.
Or the server briskly cleared the table to make room for new customers. He spoke briskly, wanting to finish the meeting as quickly as possible. Adding adverbs will really make a sentence sound more advanced since they are optional in the sentence. Let's review solemnly because you may know this from movies. You will hear this a lot in movies or books. Solemnly. It means in a serious and formal manner. He solemnly promised to keep the secret. So if I read that in a book, I would understand more about the character. It shares a lot of information because I know he's promising in a formal or a serious way.
Solemnly promise I'll behave myself.
Or for example, the team stood solemnly during the national anthem. She solemnly handed over the resignation letter. So she did it in a very serious or formal way. Let's move on to some adjectives. Convoluted. Convoluted. This means complicated and difficult to understand. The instructions for assembling the furniture were so convoluted that I gave up. It sounds more advanced than complicated. His explanation of the situation was convoluted and hard to follow.
It was very convoluted.
Or you might complain and say the plot of the movie was too convoluted. Let's review jittery. Jittery, do you know this one? If you're jittery, it means that you're nervous or unable to relax. The students were jittery as they waited for their exam results. Have you been in that situation? You're waiting for a phone call or you're waiting for news or information and you're jittery. Or you might say, I always get jittery, become jittery. I always get jittery before a big presentation. I still do too.
Yep, just a little jittery.
Now, this is also used to describe a common side effect of too much caffeine. So you might say he drank too much coffee and started to feel jittery. In this case, your hands might actually shake or you might feel your heart beating, which is a side effect of caffeine that some people experience, including me. That's why I drink 1 cup per day or else I get jittery. Let's review quirky. Notice that pronunciation, quirky. Quirky. This means unusual, but in an interesting or charming way. I instantly think of the character Phoebe from the TV show Friends. She's unusual, but in a lovable way, right? Or you might say she has a quirky sense of humor that always makes me laugh. That could be Phoebe. Or the cafe has a quirky decor. So here it's describing decor with mismatched chairs and colorful walls. So it's unusual to have mismatched chairs, but you like it. So you can describe it as quirky to show something unusual in a positive way. Or his quirky personality, so this describes personality, his quirky personality makes him stand out in a crowd.
But he's quirky.
Let's review finicky. This is a negative adjective. It describes someone who is picky or difficult to please. So you might say he's so finicky about his food that he won't eat anything with onions. Or with many different ingredients. Now, you can also use this to describe a tool or an object. The printer is finicky about jams if you don't load the paper just right. So it's saying the printer won't behave properly unless everything is perfect.
Careful with that card, it is a little bit finicky.
Or you might say she's a finicky dresser, which relates to clothing, of course. She's a finicky dresser and spends hours choosing the perfect outfit because she's very picky, but it sounds negative. It's not a positive adjective. Same with bland. This is a negative adjective, bland. This means lacking strong flavor or excitement. Commonly used to describe food. The soup is bland. It needs salt, herbs, and spices. That will give it flavor and excitement, right?
I know, it's bland.
Or this slide is a little bland. If you're creating a presentation or reviewing a presentation, this slide is a little bland. An image or some color would add interest. Or you can describe an entire room. The room was painted a bland shade of gray. So in this case, bland describes the color. A shade of gray that is dull and boring. I think gray is pretty much bland to begin with. I don't know if there's an exciting shade of gray, but in this case, a bland shade of gray. Now let's get back to full phrases. You'll learn 50 phrases you can use in daily conversations. First, let's review some phrases you can use when asking for directions. How about this one? Why don't we just ask someone where it is? This suggests asking for help instead of guessing, and something I say to my husband every time we're out.
Why don't we just ask?
Or this one, is the museum walking distance from here? Walking distance, this means close enough to walk. And of course, you can use this with any location. Now, if it isn't walking distance, you can say, we should take an Uber. So notice here, we have should, which is a modal of suggestion, plus base verb, should take. You should comment, let's go. So my modal of suggestion plus base verb. And why? Because commenting supports my channel. So make sure you comment, let's go, put let's go in the comments. You can ask someone, what street are we on? Notice here, you use on, that's the preposition, plus street name. We're on 5th Avenue or Main Street. Or one I say a lot, I think we're lost. We're lost. Notice that structure, to be lost.
Sorry, I think we're lost.
Now let's talk about shopping and customer service. Excuse me, how much is this? Notice that excuse me is a polite way to start your question, and this is used to ask for a price.
Excuse me, how much is this?
Or this, do you have this? Maybe this t-shirt, this dress, this shirt in medium, in medium. So notice preposition is in, and then you can have size or color in yellow. Where can I try this on? This is asking where is the changing room or the fitting room. Or here's a good one, is this t-shirt, this bag, is this included in the sale? Now if it is included in the sale and you buy it, after you can say, I don't need a bag, because you brought your own reusable bag.
I don't need a bag.
Now let's review when you're at a cafe. You can ask them, what time do you close today? What time do you close today?
What time do you close?
Or after you make your purchase, you can say, I don't need a receipt, save some paper, I don't need a receipt. When you walk in, you can ask, what's the Wi-Fi password? You can even just say, what's the Wi-Fi? They'll assume you want the password.
Yeah, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Or of course, is there somewhere I can plug in my laptop or my phone? So plug in, connect to an outlet, a power source. This is one I have to use, sorry, but there's no toilet paper. Now notice here, sorry, I'm not apologizing. This is a casual way to get someone's attention. Sorry, there's no toilet paper. Let's talk about ordering coffee. Here's how I order it. I'll get a, and then the order. I'll get a small cappuccino. That's what I order. What about you?
Just have cappuccino.
Now maybe you'll specify, can you make it, so prepare, make, can you make it the small cappuccino? Can you make it extra hot? Or you clarify, actually, I'll get it to go. So to go, of course, you're going to take it with you, wherever you go. Here's a great one, hold the whipping cream. hold. So notice this is in the imperative. You're giving an instruction, and hold means don't include the whipping cream. Don't add the whipping cream. Or you're looking at these muffins and you ask, what kind of muffins are these? So you're asking about the flavor of the muffin.
What kind of muffins are these?
Now let's talk about plans with friends. Are you free this weekend? And if they are, you can say, let's grab coffee after work. So grab means get, have, or even go for. Let's go for coffee after work.
You want to grab a coffee or something after work?
You can say to your friend, we need to catch up soon. Catch up means talk and reconnect. Or simply ask, what are you up to this weekend? So up to means doing. What are you doing this weekend? What are you up to this weekend?
What are you up to this weekend?
And to reply, I'm just relaxing at home this weekend, the present continuous. And notice up to is not used in the reply. It's only the question. Now let's move on to the salon or the barbers. You can say, I'll call you later. I'm just getting a haircut. So you can use the last part if you want. I'm getting a haircut. To get a haircut, and it's in the present continuous, is taking place now. So you tell the stylist, just the usual today. You can even say this at your favorite cafe. Now this is to ask for your regular cut or style. So at your favorite cafe, it's your regular drink, your regular order.
That's the usual, coach.
Or you can say nothing fancy, just a trim. So nothing fancy means nothing new, unique, or exciting, just something simple like a trim. A trim is a small cut just to keep the hair tidy.
Just a trim.
Or you can say to them instead, just clean up the split ends. So the split ends, that's the dead part of your hair. And to clean up, tidy, fix, remove. So just cut the split ends. Or you can ask them, can you add some layers? So layers, this is a haircut with different lengths for texture and volume. Now let's talk about healthcare and appointments. You might call or simply open the door and then say, do you accept walk-ins? Walk-ins. So a walk-in, this means that there's no appointment needed. So if they say yes, it means you don't need to make an appointment. And you can use that at your hair salon or your nail salon as well.
Do you do walk-ins?
Maybe you say, I need to reschedule my appointment. So notice if you add re before the verb, it means schedule it again. So we use this to say you need to change the time or date. Or you call and ask, are there any appointments available today? Maybe you're really not feeling well today, or your tooth is very sore and you want to see the dentist. This is a great question to ask. When will my results be in? This means be available. Or you could say to them, I need to update my address on file. So on file, this means in the clinic's records. They have a record of your information. And if you update it, you provide them with your most recent phone number, insurance information, or address. Now let's review some expressions for chores and errands. You can say, we're out of milk. We're out of milk. If you're out of something, so the structure is to be out of, this means you have none left.
We're out of milk.
Or you can ask someone, can you give me a hand with dinner? You ask your kids, your parents, your roommate, your spouse. And to give me a hand, of course, this means, can you help me with dinner? You ask someone, are you picking the kids up? Are you picking the kids up?
Are you picking up the kids today?
Or can we stop by the bank on the way home? So stop by, this means visit quickly. Can we visit the bank quickly on the way home? You can say, I'm taking the car into the garage tomorrow. Into the garage, this means for repairs or checkups. The garage is the location where your car is repaired by a mechanic or trained professional. Now let's review some parenting expressions. You might say, remember that parent-teacher night is on Thursday. So here, parent-teacher night, this is the name of a meeting between parents and teachers, which commonly happens throughout the year.
Don't forget, parent-teacher conferences are next week.
Or you say, Cindy, the name of your child, Cindy has a play date at Ashley's tonight. So Ashley's, notice there's a possessive because it means Ashley's home tonight, but it's implied, so you don't need to add it. And a play date, this is an arranged time for kids to play.
Miguel had a play date.
Or you say, what time is soccer practice again? Again, notice you add again, which implies you already asked this question, but you forget, so now you're asking it again. Or an important one, did you check Ollie's homework? Did you? So check, this means review or verify. Did you review his homework? Did you verify that he did his homework? So it depends on the context. Or you can say, I signed Sheldon up for piano lessons. Now notice here, you probably know sign up, which means register or enroll, in this case for piano lessons, but you can sign someone up. I signed my son up. I signed my friend up. Now let's review some expressions you can use with household problems, which of course are bound to happen. You might say, the dishwasher is leaking. Maybe the dishwasher is leaking again to imply this has happened before. The dishwasher is leaking. So leaking, the verb is to leak in the present continuous, and this means water is coming out where it shouldn't. That is leaking, not a good thing. Or you say, the power went out for over an hour this morning. So here, the power went out. So the verb is to go out, and then what? The power, that's the subject. So this means the electricity stopped. So everything turned off and went dark. The power went out.
Power went out again.
Or you can say, my printer ran out of ink. Ran out of ink. So here, to run out of, this is conjugated in the past simple, ran out of. This means used up. So completely used up. Finished. There is zero left. Or the oven is acting up again. And of course, you can replace the oven with whatever subject you want. My computer, my microphone is acting up again. Now, the verb here is to act up, is a phrasal verb. It's conjugated in the present continuous. This means not working properly.
The oven's been acting up.
Or you can say, we need to replace the washer and dryer. Now, replace means get new ones. Maybe they're not working properly, they're acting up, or they're just really old. You have learned over 150 words and phrases. Let's keep going with 50 phrases you can use at work. Let's review some vocabulary you can use during job interviews and hiring. You can say, I gave my best elevator pitch when we first met. An elevator pitch, this is a noun, it's a something. It's a short, persuasive summary about yourself or your idea. And when I say short, I mean the time you're in an elevator with someone. So usually 30 or 60 seconds long. You need to introduce yourself, the value you'll provide, what you can do in 30 to 60 seconds. That's an elevator pitch. Or maybe a friend says to you, you should dress the part for a management interview.
He even dressed the part.
So here, to dress the part, this is an idiom, and it means to wear clothing appropriate for a role or situation. So if you're applying for a management position, you're going to wear something different than if you were applying for an assistant position. You have to dress the part. How about this? She really did her homework on the company before the meeting. Now notice here, on the company, this is optional. You could just say she really did her homework before the meeting. This is an idiom, to do one's homework. This has nothing to do with an English assignment. This simply means to prepare in advance for any situation by researching. So if you do your homework on a company, you understand the goals of the company, who management is, where they're located, the size, things like that. So when you are interviewing, you can impress them with your knowledge of the company. How about this one? A firm handshake and a smile create a strong first impression. A first impression. This is, of course, the initial opinion someone forms about you. You always want to make a great first impression. And hopefully, I'm making a great first impression with you if this is your first time. If not, hopefully you're enjoying this video. So if you are, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now let's review this phrase. In an interview, you need to read the room to determine what level of formality to use. This is an important one. This is an idiom, to read the room. This has nothing to do with reading. Remember, idioms have a non-literal meaning. If you read the room, it means you understand the atmosphere and you adjust your behavior accordingly. So if you notice that everyone who is interviewing you is telling jokes, using informal speech, well then you should also be lighthearted, use informal speech, tell a joke if you know one. You need to read the room. Read the room. Here's an important one. I sent a follow-up email to thank the recruiter. Now, you can say I sent an email, of course. Adding a follow-up email, this simply is a thank you or a reminder sent after a meeting or interview. So you can send an email anytime, but a follow-up email means that something happened before it, like the interview. So let's say you attend the interview, you get the job, congratulations. So let's move on to some phrases you can use on your first day and during onboarding. So listen to this. The onboarding included a tour and introductions. Onboarding. This is the process of introducing a new employee to the company. So it's when you meet people, you understand the culture, you learn the policies, you fill out all the forms, you get your security pass, your parking pass, all of that is involved in onboarding. Or how about this? There were some icebreakers during orientation or during onboarding. Orientation is a replacement word. Now, icebreakers, that represents an activity or a game to help people feel comfortable in a group. So it's commonly done when people are meeting for the first time, or even when people who have met before start a meeting or even at a party. You have some icebreakers.
How about an icebreaker?
How about this? The office has a business casual dress code. You definitely need to know the dress code. You can ask that during onboarding or during orientation. So the dress code, this represents the rules about what employees can wear at work. So maybe at your office, for some reason, you're not allowed to wear bright colors. You have to wear black. That would be part of the dress code. Here's a common one. Senior management hosted a meet and greet for new hires.
So first up, meet and greet.
A meet and greet. Notice how I pronounced "an." When you have "an" between two nouns or two verbs, you can pronounce it just as meet and greet. You can absolutely say meet and greet, but that's not how a native would say it. A native would say meet and greet, meet and greet. This is an informal session where people introduce themselves. So they meet for the first time and they greet each other. That's a meet and greet. Now, in the first few days or months of joining a company, you might say, I'm still learning the ropes in my department. Do you know this one? This is an idiom to learn the ropes. It means to learn how a job or system works. You need to learn the ropes. Now, we already reviewed this, but just again, she made a good impression by arriving early. So before we focused on just first impression, but notice you can also make and then any adjective impression. And this, in the positive, means to create a positive opinion early on. So impression represents opinion, but you can also make a terrible impression by arriving late and not following the dress code, not dressing the part. So you want to make a positive impression. Now let's review some phrases for asking for or offering help. You may know this one. Can you give me a hand? Can you give me a hand with these reports? So to give someone a hand, this means to help with a task. Can you give me a hand with, and then you specify the something.
Can you give me a hand?
How about this one? Could you point me in the right direction for the budget file? Do you know this one? To point someone in the right direction. This is very commonly used, and it means to show or guide someone toward the correct way or place. It's often used in giving directions. Can you point me in the direction of the museum? Can you show me where the museum is? But you can also use it in the workplace to represent a task or a process. How about this one? Can you back me up during the meeting? Ooh, do you know this one? To back someone up, can you back me up? Can you back her up? So you need that someone up. This means to support someone's idea or statement. So if I ask you to back me up, it sounds like I'm going to share a new idea or suggest a change in the meeting, and I want you to say, that's a good idea, or yes, we should consider that. Here's a must-know phrase. My boss walked me through the new software process. So to walk someone through something. In this case, the something was the new software process. And this simply means to explain. Can you explain? But you do it step by step. So it sounds like I want an in-depth explanation. It's extremely commonly used in a workplace situation. This is also a great one to know. Can you cover for me? Can you cover for me while I'm at lunch? So to cover for someone. This means to do someone's work temporarily. Well, in this case is while the person is at lunch. So if you work in a restaurant and you're a server and you want to go eat something because you're really hungry, but you have tables that are waiting for food, waiting for water, waiting for the bill. So you would ask another coworker to cover for you. This is also extremely common. Keep me in the loop about or on the project changes.
Please keep me in the loop.
So there are two acceptable prepositions, about or on. It doesn't matter which one you use. To keep someone in the loop means to share updates or information about something. Let's review some phrases you can use while participating in meetings.Maybe you say to someone, or you hear your boss say, feel free to chime in if you have any ideas. Feel free to chime in, extremely common. This means to join or add to a conversation. So it's another way of saying feel free to share. Feel free to share any ideas you have. Feel free to chime in. Or maybe someone says, let's make sure we're on the same page before moving on. You may know this one, to be on the same page. If you're on the same page as someone, it means you have the same understanding or agreement.
We're on the same page.
So you both agree that you should cancel the event. You're on the same page. Here's a great one. She took the floor to explain the plan. To take the floor. You'll hear this a lot, especially if there are many people in a meeting, and it means to begin speaking to a group. So when someone takes the floor, it means now it is that person's turn to either formally present or just informally share their ideas. Here's one you should know. I'd like to raise a point about the deadline. So to raise a point, this means to bring up an idea or concern. Now, if people are talking about the deadline, you can say, I'd like to chime in about the deadline. I'd like to share my opinion. But in this case, you can also say, I'd like to raise a point. And in that meeting, you're going to be waiting for your boss or the person leading the meeting to say, let's wrap up so we can go to lunch. To wrap up means to finish a discussion or meeting. So it's another way of saying, let's end this conversation so we can go to lunch. Let's wrap up.
Let's wrap it up.
Maybe your coworker says to you, he gave us actionable advice for the presentation. So here, he gave us advice. You're just adding actionable. Actionable. This is advice that can be used quickly and practically. So it makes it sound very positive. Or maybe as you're presenting, you can say, I appreciate constructive criticism of my idea. Criticism is negative. It's negative commentary. But if you add on constructive criticism, it's still negative, but you're sharing that with the intention of improving something. So you're providing this negative feedback, but your goal is to help. So you have a positive goal. You're not doing it to be mean, like you see a lot of people in YouTube comments. They're just being mean. It's not constructive. Maybe someone says the proposal has room for improvement in the timeline of the deliverables. So room for improvement. This means there is opportunity to make something better. And notice you need the verb have. This has room for improvement. So maybe they'll give you some constructive criticism. Now let's review some phrases for workplace socializing. Of course, you want to get to know the people you work with in a more casual social environment. So you might say, want to grab coffee after the meeting? Now notice this sounds more casual. I'm dropping do you, which is very commonly done, and I'm just starting with the verb want to grab coffee. So to grab coffee, this means to go get coffee and is often used socially.
You want to go grab a coffee?
Or maybe you suggest to your coworker, let's take a coffee break at 10 or a specific time. So a coffee break, this is of course a short break to have coffee. So if you just say, let's take a break, well, maybe you just sit there stuck on your phone or you check your email. But a coffee break, there's the expectation you will leave your desk and get coffee. So it's more social. And at any point, if you want to socialize with anyone at work, including your boss and more senior people, just ask them, how's your day going so far? How's your day going so far? This is casual, but it's friendly and absolutely appropriate even in a formal situation. And this simply is to ask someone about the status of something. Now, in this case, the something was, how's your day going so far? But you could replace your day with, how's the project going so far? How's the report going so far? Or again, anytime you want to strike up a conversation, which means to start a conversation, you can ask, what's going on? What's going on with? And then something. What's going on with the conference? So this is to ask about the status of something. And now, if someone asks you, How's your day going so far? And you want to reply simply, but naturally, you can say pretty good, can't complain, can't complain. This is a neutral or positive response to how are you or how's it going? Because if you can't complain, it means that there are no problems, there's no difficulty, there's no issues. So it's either neutral or it can be positive. Can't complain.
I can't complain.
Or if you see a client or a coworker that you haven't seen in a long time, you can say, hey, long time no see. Long time no see. And then you could ask them, how have you been? How have you been? Because it's the present perfect, you're asking about the past until now, rather than just saying, how are you, which focuses on now. And of course, long time no see, this is said when you haven't seen someone for a long time, and it's just acknowledging that. Now let's review some phrases for workplace events and time off. Maybe someone asks you, have you RSVP'd for the company picnic? Have you RSVP'd? This is a verb, to RSVP, but notice I have that apostrophe D. That's to show the verb is in the past simple. That's used when you have an acronym, like in this case. Have you RSVP'd? So you add a soft D. And this means to respond to an invitation to confirm if you will attend. So you RSVP by saying, yes, I will, or no, I won't. Or maybe someone asks you, can you do a head count before lunch? If you're planning the company picnic or any other event. So to do a head count, this means you literally count how many heads there are because every person has one head. So it's to count how many people will attend. You don't actually have to count their heads, you just count one person. Or maybe you say to your coworker, I'm taking the day off tomorrow. So I'm taking the day off. To take time off, this means to not go to work. Now, maybe because you have a medical appointment, maybe family is visiting, maybe you just want a day to relax, whatever the reason is.
Take the day off with me.
But it's not usually because you're sick, because we have a different expression. You would say, I had to call in sick on Monday. I had to call in sick on Monday. So here, to call in sick. This is when you tell your boss you're sick and cannot come to work. Now, although it uses the verb call, you could text or write an email, but the phrase is the same. Now, if you did take some time off, maybe you say, my time off really helped me recharge my batteries. So to recharge one's batteries, in this case, my batteries, and batteries is always in the plural, it means to rest and regain energy, which is exactly what a day off can do for you. Or maybe you tell your coworker, we're heading to the cottage for the long weekend. So we're heading to, this is another way of saying we're going to, and for the long weekend. So of course, you know, the weekend in North America is Saturday, Sunday. A long weekend, so adding long before weekend, this is a weekend extended by a public holiday. Most likely it's Monday is the holiday, but sometimes it's Friday. So a long weekend would become Saturday, Sunday is your regular weekend, and then Monday is a public holiday, so you don't have to work, and that's a long weekend because you get 3 days instead of 2. Woohoo!
So have a great long weekend.
Now maybe you say, I need to use up my vacation days by the end of the year. So your vacation days, it could be singular. Maybe you just have one vacation day. This is the number of paid days off you are entitled to. So you may have a contract or an agreement. Paid days off. That is a vacation day. You get to relax at home in your pajamas and you still get paid. How awesome is that? I don't get any vacation days because I work for myself. Let's review some phrases you can use to talk about performance or motivation. She hit the ground running on her first day. Do you know this one? To hit the ground running. This means to start a job quickly and effectively.
I'm gonna hit the ground running.
Or maybe you say the manager set the tone for open communication. Open communication means you are welcome to communicate freely. To set the tone, this means to establish the mood or style for something. And in this case, it's open communication. You can just come give me constructive criticism and I welcome it. It's open communication. Or maybe you say, I'm still getting acquainted with the new process. So to get acquainted with something, this means to become familiar with people or systems. How about this? Consistent positive reinforcement keeps the team motivated.
It's about offering positive reinforcement.
So positive reinforcement. This represents encouragement by highlighting strengths. That's the positive part. Or maybe you say, she always goes the extra mile for her clients. To go the extra mile. This means to do more than is required. So it's a very positive thing. Or maybe you tell your boss, we worked late yesterday and now we're ahead of schedule. Oh, this is a positive thing. I love being ahead of schedule. So to be ahead of schedule, this means to finish a task or project earlier than the planned time. It's a very positive thing. Or how about this? He took initiative and solved the issue before it got worse. So to take initiative, take is your verb that you conjugate. This means that you act without being told or waiting for permission. So if you see that there's a problem, but your boss is busy with something, you just go solve the problem and then you tell your boss that you solved it. You don't wait for your boss to come give you permission. You just do it. And that's a very positive quality as well. Now your vocabulary is filled with words and phrases you can use at work. Do you want me to keep teaching you more vocabulary? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.